Yeah! Holy boys!
What can you say?
What a win! And listen, this is for all the teams out there right now that are thinking, okay, we'll get a goal and sit back and park the bus and we'll do this for 90 minutes. No. They're going to add the extra time, and it's twice this season that the extra time has killed teams against us.
You know what? Maybe earlier in the season, when we didn't have so many options going forward. But look, I mean, outside of up top, look at the options, the wave of talent that we had coming in off the bench. You know what I mean? And well managed by Arteta today. Sorry, we're not doing intros, anything. We're just jumping right into it today. Is that it? We're not even telling them.
We're going to get right into the player ratings and what we thought about players' performances really quickly. You said it the best. There's waves of talent on the bench. There's waves of talent on loan coming back next season. It's going to be deadly for the next 5 years. Deadly. But go ahead.
We talk about how this squad is managed, and we obviously the loan moves of Saliba and the loan move of Balogun, they've been much celebrated, but the loan move for Reece Nelson, okay, I mean, he played in the Conference League finals. All right, it's Conference League, but that's a pretty big game for most of the planet. You know what I'm saying? And he struggled in the early part of his loan. Didn't let himself quit, and we didn't let him quit over there. He ended up making an impact, breaking into the team, and really showing that he has class. And this is another one of those guys, similar to Nketiah, where it's like, oh, he's getting to the age of like around 24, still hasn't quite broken into the team. Everyone thinks this, that, and the third. But what's happening on the interior, people can't see. Okay? People can't see. And they don't understand how integral a part, I feel, of this team this guy is. You know what I'm saying? Like, if anything, he's the captain of the Hale End guys who are coming through. You know what I'm saying? And they all looked up to him at one point or another from those younger ages. And the fact that he was able to come in and play the way that he did, it's funny because he's coming across at one point, and I thought to myself, this was after he had the assist on the first goal. I thought maybe he was a little scared to shoot there. Second time around, lets it fall to him on his wrong foot. He ain't never scared, okay? That's what we learned today.
I mean, it was a performance for the ages in the last 10 minutes. Unbelievable. Tech, go ahead.
There's obviously so much to talk about, but
so much, yes.
For recency effect, that goal is amazing. One, but that's the second time this year he's come on as an impact sub and changed the entire game. But yeah, he had contributions on both goals. It was the cross and then the volley in the game. So like, Reece Nelson, his player rating is going to be high today, but there's so much to talk about. I don't know where to start. I think I need to start after that one, but
the second time he made me cry this season. Okay, if you know what this kid has gone through, man, you know what I mean. Like from where he started and through the academy, you know what I mean. Like a lot of people, I think, said that the first time around, like you shed a couple tears for this guy, and now fresh off a long-term injury. Okay, these are like essentially his first minutes back, and this guy was ready to be thrown into the fire.
Mm-hmm. He is. A great,
yet, right? For this summer.
Yeah, he doesn't. He wants to. He said he wants to stay, and I think it's up to Arteta and Edu right now to offer him a contract. But
the contract should be sitting in his locker before he gets back to the locker room.
Okay? It's one game, eh? It's one game. He's been here for how many years? It's one game.
It's 2 games. It's 2 games. And two games. Huge turnarounds. And 2 huge turnarounds.
I understand. I get it.
Honestly, Edson's ready to sell this guy for $100 million at least. Like what, man? It's one game, bro. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing. But come on, man.
He would sign on for a quarter of that still, and then go back out on loan, and then come back and give his heart for the club again. This is what it's all about, guys. This is what it's all about.
Oh, I love it. You're not wrong.
And we've said this season. This is a champion's performance. This is the highlights that you see at the end of the season. This is what it's all about. This is what we just witnessed right there, guys.
That's one for the memory bank. What are you talking? That's one you're going to talk about for years to come. Watch what happened at the Emirates, down 2-0. You know,
especially knowing what Manchester City did previous right before the game. So you had to, when it was 2-0 down, it was just like, oh my God, what's happening at home?
They're within 2 points. All I saw was within 2 points. I'm looking at the live table. They're within 2 points. You know,
it was crazy. It was crazy. But guys, let's enough of the nonsense. Let's get into the player ratings. Like we got to get to the subs first. I don't know if we should start from the top and go down, or if we should start from the back and get to our man of the match, because I know most of you are gonna have the same guy for man of the match. But you know what, guys? We'll start like we always do. We'll start from the back. We'll start from Ramsdale, and we'll start off with Nick. Ramsdale performance against Bournemouth tonight. I mean, did he have much to do? I don't think so, but we'll still give him a rate.
When he was called, I don't even think you can blame the goals on him per se. You know, we've been getting beat off set pieces since I've been supporting Arsenal. So, you know, the first one, they ran like some sort of like an NFL style kickoff and it just caught him by surprise. But he made 2 really, really game-saving like stops. The first one where they were already down 1-0 and they had the break, and they probably should have scored down in the first half. Should have made it 2-0 early in the first half. Great save from Ramsdale. And then the second one, in the second half, another fantastic stop where you probably thought he probably should have got beat there, or just couldn't. His positioning was great. And overall, like, I mean, the 2-0 deficit didn't really tell the story for the game. I mean, I think Arsenal outplayed them, and I think Ramsdale did what he was supposed to do. That's why I'm going to give him an 8.
So an 8 from Nick for Ramsdale. Tech, what are we giving Ramsdale? I know he didn't have much to do, like Nick said, but still have to rate.
2 great saves.
But when he had to do something, he did it, right? So
he did it,
Nick said game-saving stops. I gotta say season-saving stops, man. At crucial points in the game. The first save was when we were down 1-0. Made a huge save on. I think both saves were on Solanke. Maybe, I don't know. I can't remember the first one, but the second stop was when we pulled one back from Partey's goal, and it was 2-1, and they could have went up 3-1 with that. So like
they came right back.
Huge saves in the game. Yeah, on the goals he couldn't. I don't think he could have did much. You know, I hate the way we started that game. Like we should. That's unacceptable. I don't know. It comes down to a lot of things, whether lineup selection was right and whatnot. Anyways, we'll get to that when we talk about Arteta's rating for the day. But huge saves from Ramsdale. I think, you know, apart from the 2 goals, he did what he had to do to keep us in the game. He was quick on getting the ball out when we really needed those goals. So I think I got to agree with Nick's rating and give him an 8. You know, only because of the scoreline and because we had 2 goals against us. But a good performance today, and huge stops on those big chances.
Definitely, Edson.
I'm gonna keep it simple, but I'm gonna go 9, because when these season-saving saves happen, I mean, like he's called on in these moments to keep it reasonable. You know, the score. This is a 1-point game. If either of those goes in, you know what I mean. We're happy with 1 point if we get out of here, and that's not what happened. We claimed all 3. That's a 9. That's a 9 performance for me. For all the reasons you guys said, still, but because of the circumstances, and because like, I mean, listen, it was, first of all, the shots were 30-4, and I think all 4 of their shots were on net. 2 were goals. The other 2 he saved. That's you know what I mean? And 2 he could do nothing about. You know what I'm saying? And the other 2 he came up with the goods. So 9.
In all honesty, I missed the first goal. It was that early in the game that I actually still turning on the
9
TV.
Seconds, 9 seconds.
I missed the goal. So I saw the replay, of course, but I'm going to agree with Tech and Nick and give him an 8. And like Edson said, when he was called upon to do it, he did it. 4 shots on net, 2 went in, 2 were saved. What more can you ask for? And like we all of us have said, he didn't have a chance on pretty much both of the goals. So I'm giving him an 8. We'll start at right back. We'll go to right back and have Tomiyasu, who got pulled at 45 minutes. We'll start with Tech.
Yeah, I don't know when the best time to talk about this, but I got to question the selection here. Ben White, he had 2 good games starting in the lineup. I don't know if it's, a matter of rotation or just keeping guys fresh or preparing guys for Europa League, but, Tommy, he's great with the overlapping runs. Defensively, I thought he was pretty sound today, but I don't know. It changes the feel of the game. It changes the way we play. And, I wasn't a big fan of the decision, but, it's not like he was a cause for our goals or did, anything that really put us at jeopardy. There were a couple of times where he missed some opportunities to make a pass or, give us a goal chance, chance at least. So, those are the things that I was a bit bothered by in his performance. But again, he didn't do anything, terribly wrong today. So I'm giving Tommy a 7 today.
7 for our right back. A bit high. Okay.
Edson. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see much wrong with his performance. I mean, he made the overlapping runs. He was very rarely used on them. When he did, they got into the box. He got a couple of balls in. He didn't do much wrong, but there's something between Ben White and Saka that can't be denied. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, we've seen it. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, Tech. Like, we should question the selection maybe a little bit. Like, I figured he would have rolled with White again, but also, a mark of good management is knowing when it's time to make a change. And he didn't wait till 30 minutes. You know what I mean? He pulled the trigger at the half, and I thought that using Tommy, like I'm Team Tommy, you know what I mean, like all day, but. I thought that using Tommy today was maybe a good idea in terms of rotation, like you were saying. When it went wrong, he was very quick to correct it. You know what I mean? Not that it went wrong, but when it wasn't going right, you know what I mean? When it wasn't like really producing something, he decided to make the change. And Ben White came in, and I mean, the only thing that Tommy did wrong today was that he wasn't Ben White. You know what I'm saying? Like that was it. So I got to give him. I mean, I guess a standard 6 because we were losing at the time that he went out of the game. So that's his rating. And I think also, like, like I said, we've been Team Tommy, or a couple of us have been, but there now has to come a point where we start to say, well, is Tommy actually the best right back on the team? You know what I mean? Because we have to factor in that Ben White's getting better, and then he finds patches of form. And what we saw in the second half today was outrageous. Okay, that was outrageous. He was unreal. So,
okay, so Edson gives him a 6. Nick, what are you giving Tomiyasu's performance today?
I think that I guess the scoreline to start the game is what's lowering this kid's rating. But I mean, I think lest we forget, Arsenal was dominating the game for the first 35 minutes. There was a little bit of like stick there and like mid like late in the first half that might have said, oh shoot, what's happening, what's going on. But I mean, they were leading the way, and Tomiyasu was not, I don't think he was much of a problem. I thought he actually played pretty well. I think that the reason for the change was not based on his play per se, but just they needed a different look. And I think Edson pointed out that I need to get Saka going. And I guess the way to do that is to bring in the person that he's the most comfortable with. And that's why, I'll keep it simple and just I agree with Edson. I'll give him a 6. Sorry, no, not agree with Edson again. I agree with Edson's take, but I will still agree with the 7 that Tech gave him because I didn't think he was bad.
The other thing that it did was, I mean, there's a relationship as well between the fullbacks. You know what I'm saying? And Zinchenko's at his most swashbuckling, I think, when Ben White is out there. You know, kind of, they play off of each other kind of a little better, and they drop back into the back three. Whereas Tommy's like he likes to get, he likes to push forward, and run and try and make that overlap almost all the time. Ben White is a little bit more comfortable, kind of playing a bit more of a midfield role on his side too. You know what I'm saying? In essence, from that third back three to kind of like a midfield role. So like the way that you would conservatively play it on the other side. You know what I'm saying? So anyway,
which makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. 7 for me.
Okay, so I'm gonna give him a 7 as well. Like Edson said, the only thing he did wrong is that he wasn't Ben White. If he had scored a goal today, it would be probably an 8 performance, 9 performance from him. But I mean, the change at half was probably key to what we were taking away from the goal that Ben White scored. It was probably key to how we were able to get back into the game. So I'll give him a 7 as well. He didn't do much wrong. Again, not Ben White, so he gets a 7. We'll start with Edson for the next player, and it's his guy that he's been riding with for the last 3 or 4 games, and that's Gabriel Magalhaes. At the back, so we'll start with Edson.
Not Big Gabby's best game. I think some of our praise has maybe gotten back to him, and he was feeling a little bit. I'll keep it brief on Gabby. Defending was not the high point of this game. He was wildly out of position for the first goal, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Partey who was tracking, or was it the second one? No, maybe it was the second one that he was wildly out of position for. But I think it was Partey who was the last man back, tracking at that back post. And I'm like, where's Gabriel? And he's like the top of the box. I'm like, it looked all wrong. I couldn't exactly like go back and analyze it. I didn't have another look at it after that. And things were crazy after the game. So yeah, just based on the fact that Bournemouth bagged 2, that's a 6 performance.
Oh wow, 6 from Big Gabby.
Bournemouth bagged 2, man. What are we talking about here?
Tech, what are we give? Oh, sorry, Nick. What are we giving Gabriel?
All right, so on the first, I actually did get a chance to look at that one again. Gabby on the first goal, he just sort of took a chance on the cross coming through. He just sort of stepped out. Right. It's just one of those. It was one of those plays that you just sort of your head's not completely in the game and you're just sort of caught sleeping. So they go, you almost had to recover, but he was back. He was back there. It's just that when that ball sort of came through in a diagonal cross, it was a wrap. Like he had no chance. Once he missed it, it was done. The second one, I don't know. How I feel about these set pieces. Like so, overall, I thought his energy was still pretty good. I thought he was like, I don't know if he was trying to make up for some of the errors that earlier in the game, which I didn't see again much of. I'm still, I know you give him a 6. I think I'm comfortable giving him a 7 just because of his effect on the game, just getting the guys going and the back going. So, and again, remember, I think it was a comment I made in the group where, like, what is this guy doing? He's running all the way up to the front. Like, where's he going, man? Like, his energy was crazy. And then you turn your head and you blink, and he's at the back still trying to defend. So, 7 for me.
I'm gonna give him a 7 as well. It's tough to play in those games where there's not a lot of action for you. Bournemouth did park the bus, like we said in the chat after they got the goal, and even after the second goal, it was going to be even worse. There's no need for them to even come out and start playing. If they get a draw at that stage, they would happily take that, smiling on the way to the bus, partying all through the night. So to park the bus after getting a goal after 11 seconds, I think it was. So I mean, there's not much for the defenders to do, and even the goalie, like four shots for a 90-minute span is not a lot. So as far as defending goes, I mean, it's tough to stay engaged if you're not getting forward and in the play. So I will give him a 7. Just based on the fact that they really didn't have much to do back there, and you want to be involved in the game, so you take your chances when you can going forward.
You know what? I'm pretty sure it was one of the times that Ramsdale bailed us out that he was out of position. Now that you guys mentioned it, so now you freshened my memory on the 2 goals. But yeah, I think it was more the one of the Ramsdale bailouts again. Yeah, 6 is it's an emotional 6. We'll revisit maybe.
Well, he's got a lot of 9s from you, so he can get a 6 from you. We'll round off Gabriel with Tech. What are you giving him?
So with the rating, let's be quick with it. So I'm giving him a 6 today. You know, we've been pretty friendly with Gabriel over the past few weeks. Let's be a bit critical too. He's not entirely to blame for that first goal. I think our entire left side just wasn't awake to start the game, right? We know Zinchenko can be, not the greatest defender sometimes. He didn't really do well to, stop that cross coming in. Gabby sort of missing on that, first touch, and then it falling to Billing, right, to put the goal in. So, and the other factor with that is that Xhaka, right, he's typically our left-sided midfielder. And, I don't know if Vera had much of a role in that goal either, but something was missing there to start the game on that left side. And usually we look to Gabriel to bail us out at times, and unfortunately he didn't do that with the first goal. So anyways, his energy was good. I think Nick said that. There was a time in the game where he was playing like Gabby Jesus up sort of leading the line, asking for the ball to be crossed in. I love that. It's all good. We're chasing the goal. People feed off that. The crowd feeds off that. But yeah, nothing I think to really highlight from his performance today other than, being resilient and us coming back from a 2-0 deficit, right? To turn it around. So, a 6 for me on Gabriel.
Okay. We'll go to his defensive partner in the middle, Saliba. I'll start. I'm giving Saliba a 7 as well. Not much, again, same as Gabriel, not much to do, but when he was called in to do things, he was cutting out passes. He kept the striker, whatever striker he was covering, quiet, whether it was Billings or Solanke. And not much to do. Nothing game saving from him. A standard 7. I mean, Reggie 7 is pretty high praise, so I'll definitely give him a 7 for that performance. Edson, what are you giving Saliba?
Saliba gets a 7 from me as well. This is another product of the Arteta's lone tree. Just polished defending beyond his years. Still, that's what we get. And like you said, they had very few sniffs, and I just thought he was the better of our 2 defenders today. So I shouldn't say, what I mean? Like, I was critical on Gabriel because I thought that, he was out of position once or twice, but I'm pretty sure we didn't catch Saliba out of position. You know what I mean? Like that first goal wasn't his fault, and the second one certainly wasn't his fault. And, he kept things ticking on his side too, going forward when called upon. So
you're giving him a 7 as well, Tech?
I'm going with another 6 for our center back pairing today. I don't think Saliba did, a ton of horrible things today. There was only one pass that really sticks out in my mind where he sort of, his back was facing.
Oh yes.
I guess the Bournemouth,
right.
And then he sort of just kicked it over his head, and
yes.
It was actually Gabriel that bailed him out on that, I think, on that play specifically. But
happy marriage.
But yeah, he, I think he helped. yeah, he helped out with sort of building our attack on the right side towards the end of the game, or towards the second half at least. So I think that was his biggest plus of the game so far, or of the game today. But yeah, defensively, again, the fact that we let Bournemouth score 2 goals on us, that's affecting the rating for the most part on my side. But again, nothing horrible to say about Saliba today. Standard performance. But I want to be a bit more critical of our guys because I know we can do a lot better than that. So a 6 for Saliba on my end.
I'll round it off with Nick Saliba.
Lord, you guys don't miss a thing, man. I'm just going to keep it simple. I don't think I can give Saliba a 6. I have to give him a 7 because I gave Gabby a 7. Although Gabby did, you're right. That's what you caught it. It was Gabby who bailed him out on that. Overall, it's a marriage. It's a marriage made in heaven, bud. So I'm keeping it together. 7.
Okay. All right. So our left side, again, for the 900th time, our left back, Zinchenko. Our left midfielder, our striker, our attacking midfielder, whatever you want to call him, Zinchenko. We'll start off with Nick.
I guess it's not going to show up on the score sheet, but I thought that part of the reason that they were so effective, well, obviously they're always more effective on the right side. It seems, but part of the reason why I think they were effective in the midfield and then on the left side, even though Gabby Martinelli didn't really show up in the score sheet per se. I just thought in terms of possession and keeping things flowing and keeping the attack going, Zinchenko was doing what he's supposed to do. I would say, I want to say 8. I'm going to say 7. Just simply for that reason. Just kept the attack going. Yeah.
All right, 7 for Zinchenko from Nick. Tech, what are we giving Zinchenko?
So I had a hard time thinking about this one. Between a 7 and 8. So I'm going to go with an 8 because I think it was his shot towards the end of the game that took a deflection and led us to that corner where Nelson put it in. So
it was. So
I think it was. I can't remember exactly.
It was.
Near the end of the game,
He
right?
took a shot. It was deflected. We got the corner. Yeah, it wasn't true.
Yeah. So his instinct to put shots on goal. When we needed a goal. It's good to see that, right? Usually I'm used to Arsenal trying to pass the ball in the net. So, having a player that, has the confidence to put a shot on goal now to test their keeper at a critical time and see what happens, right? It took a deflection. It was very close. I thought Ben White maybe could have went for a diving header there to try to put it in, but that's asking a bit much. So I think, standard Zinchenko performance, he's always helping out the mid and creating our chances. I think he really helped Reece Nelson when he came in, sort of, creating some space for him, some key passes to him to set up the goals today too. So, a solid 8 from Zinchenko on my side, apart from his contributions with the first goal as well.
Edson?
I'll agree with Tex 8. Guys in sports sometimes don't get enough credit for feeding the hot hand. You know what I'm saying? And when Reece came on, you could tell, you know what I mean? He had a certain focus and determination, and he needed somebody to play with on that side. And it was him and Zinchenko. You know what I mean? Vieira was kind of not fitting there for a while. They brought in Xhaka, and Xhaka kind of filled in the right places. But it was a lot of interplay between he and Zinchenko. And like I said, when Ben White came on, he could be a little bit more swashbuckling. So I think his performance got better as the game went on too, right? So, yeah, that's an 8 for Zinchenko for me.
I'm also giving him an 8. Solid Zinchenko performance, playing the role that Arteta brought him in to play from Manchester City. So, I mean, I didn't really do anything wrong. Kept the play moving, was providing side splitting balls. I saw him play the same ball he played to, I believe it was Reece Nelson that he played to Nketiah when Odegaard scored last game. So he was watching. I mean, just popping up in those positions to be able to play those type of balls in. I mean, that's our left back, guys. So I'm giving him an 8. Nothing wrong with that performance today. We'll move to the middle of the field, and there was a change in the midfield today that we haven't seen. But we'll start off with our Ghanaian, Thomas Partey, and we'll start off with Edson.
That was like a Gordie Howe hat trick kind of a game. You know what I mean? Like he was in the middle, or like he was kind of at fault for allowing a goal, and then he scored a goal and was up in everything. I mean, early on in the game, I messaged the group and I was like, "Partey's he's doing everything." You know what I mean? Like he's in all the drama. He's the popular girl in high school. You know what I mean? Like he was just up in all different facets of the play. He's involved in the build up and breaking stuff up and like playing. At times I'm like, who's that popping up? Oh, at the post there, it's like, oh, who's playing center? It's Thomas Partey. He's playing center back. He's the last man back. He continues to make his release clause looks small. Thomas,
$5 million.
Right. So I mean, if he wasn't at fault for the goal, that would be probably a 10 performance. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give him a 9 based on that and based on how huge his goal was.
Starting off with man of the match performance. Nice. Tech.
Yeah, no, Edson said it best. I think we looked at him for a lot of our game today. He was the defensive cover that we needed. At times, he seemed to start every sort of rush for us, right, in typical Partey fashion. So I thought it was great him back in the starting lineup. He played the full 90 today, which I think was needed for us. He was the start of our turnaround with the first goal. In a good position for that first goal as well. Standard Partey performance from me, in my mind at least, and a big part of why we won today. So
the other thing we didn't mention is
I'm giving him a 9. But
there was no Xhaka. And there was no Jorginho, which I imagine if there was no Xhaka, that's what we would see.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in the next guy,
right?
For sure.
Yeah,
which was a surprise when I saw the lineup. But anyways,
right. But
Nick,
the fact that there was no Xhaka made his performance that much better and required more of him. You know what I mean? And he provided it. He was amazing.
Man, like you must have some sort of link to my notes on that, man. So I'm just gonna go with everything you just said, Edson. And in addition to just one added thing for me about Partey, there was some play in the game that was going back. I think Arsenal was pushing forward. It was in the second half where Partey came out of nowhere and just like. It was like a man against boys, and just took the ball from behind or something like that and sent it back that way. I was like, this guy can be everywhere. For as much as he makes just lapses in judgment, like his decision making and drive is what easily gets him a 9 for me, man. Yeah, I thought he was incredible again today, man. He makes up for every little lapse in judgment that happens, and the 9 also because there's a goal in there, so there's that, right?
You guys are making me want to change my my rating for him. If everyone's giving him a 9, I gave him an 8. I mean, again, for me, 7 is fantastic, so an 8 is but I gave him an 8. Didn't do anything wrong today. I think when we get to his partner in the midfield, when we get down to Vieira, I'll ask you guys a question as well with his performance. But I'm giving him an 8. Didn't do anything wrong. That's the Thomas Partey we got like Edson said, $45 million release clause. That's highway robbery, if you ask me. But yeah, he gets an 8 from me. We'll go to his partner, who was a shock start for me. We've been talking about maybe getting Xhaka some rest and finding a spot to give him some rest. So Fabio Vieira starts in his place. Let me ask you a question before we go into the ratings. We saw Xhaka play with Jorginho. We've seen Xhaka play. I don't think we've seen Xhaka play with Vieira.
Yeah.
But Partey coming in and playing with either one of those guys, is that a better partnership than Xhaka with those guys, or is am I just missing something completely? Because I see Partey is the type of player that can play with pretty much anybody, and anyone can play with him. Do we see that same thing with Xhaka playing with anybody? I don't know.
No.
Right.
No. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen Xhaka with now, mind you, it's so hard to judge because look at the center backs who were behind them at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're dealing with a different quality of center backs in the team now. So it's hard to judge Xhaka or Xhaka El Neni or Xhaka this or Xhaka that from previous years. You know what I mean? At least if we're going back further than these past 2 seasons. You know, so it's hard to say, but we already know who our best midfielder is. Scratch that. We already know who our best player is, right? And that's number 5.
Oh, and it's 100% agree that's there. I mean, if there's one thing you can be assured of is that when Partey's in the field, it doesn't really matter who his partner is, you know. And Vieira, he looked young today, and he still, you know, it's like Partey took him under his wing. He had some good moments, he had some bad moments. But he had particularly in the first half, I thought those good moments outweighed the bad ones, and that's why I gave and I'll give my rating to Vieira right now, which is a 6.
Okay. Tech.
It's a good question, Reg. But yeah, I gotta agree with what the guy said. I think Partey allows us to try different things, you know, try attack-minded lineups, and it's no fault of Vieira, right? Like, again, he to put him in that position, I think is a bit tough. I was surprised to see him in the lineup. I must admit, maybe he's prepping him for some more minutes in Europa League. But you know, taking Xhaka out of the lineup, I question that decision, right? I compare us to like the 2015 Leicester team, right? Like, with this run, we gotta play our best team every single game of the Premier League. Xhaka is a part of that. So, you know, it's, again, no fault of Vieira. It's a manager decision at the end of the day, but you need some rotation too. I get it, but you know, I question it being that game to actually throw him to the fire. But Vieira, overall, his performance, had a couple nice matches today. That was the biggest thing for me. He had a couple chances that he didn't really put on net. Didn't see much of his bromance with Martinelli today play out, but you know, again, I don't think he had, you know, too many things to be concerned about. So, you know, I'll go with a 6 for Vieira today.
Edson?
Yeah, Vieira was kind of the fly in the ointment a little bit almost. I don't know. Everybody else, you know, the football felt really free flowing. He didn't always take up it seemed like to me the best positions. Wasn't making a lot of room out there for anyone with runs I didn't find, and he wasn't playing as deep as when we needed him. It almost felt like being in the game kind of stunted Odegaard for a little while there. Then Odegaard found his way into the game as we needed goals. You know what I'm saying? He's just up the field at that point, and things were kind of, you know, there were a couple of wide open sort of moments. You know what I mean? So, you know, obviously, you know, we had Thomas Partey there to snuff out a lot of situations. It could have looked a lot worse. And yeah, it was a questionable selection for me. I don't think I want to play too many games without some combination of, Partey, Xhaka, Jorginho in there. It definitely didn't feel super secure today. You know what I mean? Like, even though it was 4 chances, I think that with a Xhaka or a Jorginho in there, I think they have maybe 2 chances. And we make it look like Everton a couple games back or whatever, or whoever was before them, 0 chances on net. That I think that's the kind of performance we put in had a Xhaka or Jorginho been in the. So 6.
6 from you. I gave him a 5. I know he popped up in certain positions and like Tech said, and made some chances. But I feel that he didn't go out and get the game. The game had to come to him for him to have those opportunities. And we've seen Xhaka take the game by the scruff of the neck and make chances, get into tackle. He's not waiting for the game to come to him. So I think that he's a young player. He'll learn that it's not Portugal anymore. It's the EPL. You're going to have to make your way into the game and try to find ways to be impactful for the team. So I gave him a 5. Not didn't play bad, but I mean didn't really do much for me to push on the game. So we talked about, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about the Partey, Xhaka, Vieira, whoever, El Neni, whoever partnership. We were looking for a replacement for Partey. Is that the guy we should have been looking to replace? I think it might not be. It might not be the guy that we were trying to find a replacement for. It should be someone else. If we think that Partey is the guy that we have to build our midfielder.
Dude, thank you.
He was always cover. He was always looking for cover. It was never to replace him.
You're looking well.
We're looking for cover.
Well, yeah, I know we're looking for cover, but shouldn't we be looking for cover for someone else? Maybe a Xhaka? I mean, I don't see anyone on this team that can replace Partey. But I see players that can take Xhaka's role.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, I think that's our strategy for next year too, right? Is you're hearing the rumors about Declan Rice and other defensive-minded midfielders. I think we're looking for that cover for Partey, obviously, in the next windows.
Yeah.
But Xhaka, right? He's at the moment, I think he's a big part of our starting 11. I won't say irreplaceable, but to your point, right? I think we need to find ways to look to someone else, right, to play that role. And maybe today was Vieira's chance to do that. We saw Smith Rowe get minutes. Maybe Smith Rowe drops back into the mid at some point too. Maybe it's Odegaard that plays more of a deep lying if Trossard plays that attacking minded midfield position. So I think Arteta probably used this game as an opportunity to test a new thing, right? And see who else can contribute in a key part of the field. I think this was the game to do it with Bournemouth being so low in the standings and not having much attacking threat. But yeah, like we're always going to need cover and reinforcements and positions, and I think Xhaka is likely one that we'll target in the next windows too. He's getting old too, right? Like if you think about the age of our team, then
we're about to give him a 3-year deal. What are you talking about?
What's the average age of our team? Right? Xhaka is out of the norm.
He's one of the older guys. He's 29, I think, right now. He's one of the older guys, if he's not 30. El Neni, Partey, and Xhaka are the oldest guys, right?
I think that signing him to a 3-year deal is kind of like saying, okay, well, A, it's a reward, but B, also it's all right, one more year with the squad, let's say, and then we'll have 2 years on the contract to be able to sell him to someone and still, get a pretty decent fee, So
his leadership, right? There's a lot of value there too, right?
Well, that's what you need in the dressing room, and I think that's why they re-signed El Neni, because he's a good guy. He's good in the dressing room. He's probably good with the young players. That's why you re-sign him. It's not to get
From Public Field in Lakeland, Florida.
Yeah.
It's not to get a goal from him. It's just the way he can, take guys like Saka, guys like Smith Rowe, Reece Nelson under his wing and say, hey, listen, I've been in this game. I've played for my national team. I've been in this game a long time. This is what you need to do to become a better player. So I don't think it's something that we're going to look like, oh, we're signing El Neni for another 2 years. Oh my God, what are we going to do with this guy? I think he's better in the dressing room and like a third, fourth, fifth, sixth coach type of thing, right?
Well,
so let me not interrupt you guys anymore. I'll send you my ratings via the chat, guys, but I got to run because I'm in the middle of the Blue Jays baseball.
Okay,
so,
all right.
Peace out, guys. But I'll send out the less. I think we left with Vieira, so I'll send you the. I'll send you the rest. All right.
Okay.
All right, guys.
All right.
Good times.
So
what were we just talking?
We were talking about El Neni being in the.
Well, I think the thing is that El Neni kind of graduates into the Rob Holding position.
That's right.
Squad, right?
That's
and
right. That's right.
Holding is then sold and rotated out.
100%. And I see Holding becoming a coach, if not at Arsenal, somewhere else for sure. Not saying that he's not a bad player, but he's not Premier League material.
Well, to be honest with you, I 100% think that he will remain in the Premier League, and I think that he is Premier League quality, just not top grade.
Premier League for Everton, Premier League for Bournemouth, Premier League for those type of teams. But when you're talking about a championship run team, he doesn't make the lineup ever.
No, but I think he can go to one of those teams and be adored. And be one of their better players, especially with the running games. When he's had runs of games for us, he's had spells where he's been decent. So I don't think that we'll be selling him out of the Premier League. I think that we'll be just selling him.
I honestly don't think he's going anywhere. I think if we don't offer him another contract, he'll want to coach. If he doesn't want to play, he'll want to coach. For sure.
29?
Sorry?
What is he? 28, 29?
And around there, yeah.
Yeah, no, he's got more football in him. He's got more contracts. He'll want to play on sort of a fringy kind of team. And I think that he'll surprise. But he's just not Arsenal quality, and he could never really hold down a place in the team on a permanent basis.
Okay, so sorry, Ted.
Yeah, the one interesting stat that I heard from the game today too, with Xhaka out of the lineup, by the way, was that this was the first Arsenal team without an Arsene Wenger signed player in the lineup. So it was just like
the dawn of the post Arsene Wenger era is actually now here. This is like the actual post Wenger era.
Yeah, it's true. Next year, you're really gonna feel the Arteta effect. Apart from this year, obviously, with where we're at and what's gonna happen. Still a lot of seasons to be played, so I'm not jinxing anything at this point, but yeah, next year, like I think you'll really see the value of what Arteta brought into this squad, and there's gonna be a couple of new faces in that midfield, and I think very likely that Xhaka's complement or alternative will be in the squad next year, and you'll see that then.
Well, I think the other thing is that, our link to Wenger is our manager. Arteta is our link to Wenger. And I think that's all we're going to need going forward. You know what I mean? Like, that's how we carry his legacy forward.
He is the genius. He is the one that brought us back to prominence and, defeated season, Champions League final, statue. It's all well deserved. So we'll go to our midfield, our captain, Odegaard. Nick's gone. So we'll start with Edson, with Odegaard.
Odegaard called really hard today. You know what I mean? Like we had 80% of the possession, and we were in the box creating. He got shots close to net. He was shooting a ton. Maybe one or two decisions where I said, passed it off here or there, but like he was not afraid. He wanted the ball at his feet at all times. Was pressing a lot. Was very energetic. A captain's performance without the goals or assists. So that's a 7. That's a 7. I'll give him.
Tech.
Yeah, I thought it was harsh for him not to get a goal or assist today. He was like the guy creating the most opportunities for us today. A couple shots outside of the box. Again, not typical of an Arsenal team. We're not shooting more than passing. So in those areas. So it's good. It's good. It's refreshing to see players take those chances in good opportunities, and he's one player that does that for us. So I think a good performance from him. When we need the goal, he was pressing. He was making those key passes, those intricate passes on the field with Saka especially. He tends to drift to the right side of the field, right? For the most part of the game. And I think that helps us tremendously when we're looking for goals. So a good performance from Odegaard. So I'm giving him a 7 today.
So I think it's 7 all the way around. I'm giving him a 7 as well. Typical Odegaard performance. When we have the ball and we're in attacking positions, we're looking for Odegaard. So trying to get him on the ball, and he was available every single time. So that's what you need fielder. So I'm giving him a 7 as well. Going to the forward line now before we get into our subs, because I think the man of the match is in our subs, but we'll see. Going to our forward line, we're going to start on the left-hand side, and we're going to start with Martinelli. So we will start with Tech.
Look, he was trying today, right? Maybe the luck didn't break for him, but I thought he was doing the right things. He was, attacking their fullbacks. He was playing a lot in the middle because of Trossard's injury today. So, he was adapting to the situation as we needed him to. Just, unfortunate that, he couldn't get, a solid chance on target. Not sure out of the number of VAR questionable calls that we had today, whether Martinelli had, his hand in some of those chances, but, I'd like to see, him keep up his goal streak, right? What was it? Four decisions. I think there were a couple where
Four.
Yeah, it's
that's
ridiculous.
Chelsea or United or City. They get 3 of those.
Yeah, and I think Martinelli had caused maybe 2 of those just by way of a shot or something. But again, I don't think there was anything that was bad about his performance. He's continuing to have that greed in his play where he's taking his opportunities. Maybe not the best opportunities at times, but again, I think he's a key part of our attack on that left side and through the middle right now with our lack of available players. So a good performance from Martinelli from me. I think I said 7. I'm giving him a 7.
Edson.
He was a threat. There was one time that one ball up the middle, shot just kind of over. But he was a threat. He really hungry for more of him at striker. And after Trossard went out, he was. I mean, I feel like Trossard kind of they switch up sometimes. Last match, we saw the heat maps. As I was saying, Trossard was really more out to the left, and Martinelli played the majority of it kind of like in a free forward sort of role. So he had as many touches on the right and left, combined at the very least, as he had on the right or through the middle as he had on the left. So he was playing a free role, and I think that he played more of that when Trossard went out today, and was a threat. He was constantly, he is what he is. He's always threatening. So that's a 7 performance just because of no stats.
I'm giving him a 7 as well. He's playing like he understands that there's someone behind him that could take his. So every shift he's putting in, he's giving 100% at maximum effort, whether he's scoring or chasing down somebody, or he's tackling, or he's giving a pass. I mean, he's playing like he knows that if I don't play well, I might not play ever again. So, and especially with a player like Gabriel Jesus coming back in the next 3 or 4 weeks, playing time might be a little bit tough if you're not playing well up there, especially in the race that we're in right now in Europa League and all that stuff. So he's playing like he knows that there's someone behind him. So I'm going to give him a 7. No goals today, but again, like Edson said, he was dangerous. He had that one chance. Most strikers probably wouldn't even get a shot off there. So I'm giving him a 7 as well. We'll go to the right hand side and
real quick. I think maybe you think maybe there was a little bit of him and Vieira sort of heard maybe Vieira heard the bromance talk, because they barely passed between each other today. I don't know. I mean, there might have been maybe like 1 or 2 connected passes, and a couple of times where Martinelli was in threatening positions, and I thought, find him. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's there to be passed to, and Vieira looked away, and it was kind of a weird connection between them today.
I think maybe Martinelli was playing a different position, so maybe it wasn't kind of when you put your head down and look up, you expect to see someone there that Martinelli maybe, but now he's playing in a different position. Maybe when he looks up, he sees him, and Martinelli's maybe another 5 feet away from him. It's like, oh, can I make it? Oh, you know what? I'll just play the safe path. So I don't know. I don't think players like that take that kind of talk. They look like good friends anyway, so maybe they embrace that bromance type of thing. But I don't know. I just think that Martinelli was playing a different position, so wasn't in the eye line of Vieira. Plus, you don't want to make a pass that gets picked off and goes the other way, especially if it's one of your first starts for a team that's hopefully going to win the EPL, right? So that's my 2 cents.
He's at his best, right? When we play him into space, like that's exactly how his chance came about, right? He sort of was coming in off the left into the middle. I think was it Partey that made the pass there.
I think so.
Yeah, so utilizing his speed, I'd love for him to work on his finishing, which will come in time. He's a very young guy, not worried about that, but a chance like that, you should score. Let's be honest. But yeah, love his heart, love his energy. This guy's like the Energizer Bunny. He's always pulling off a sprint or two, even at the 90-minute mark. So I love him. But utilize his strengths when we can. Play him into space more. Because I don't think we look to him to be that holding type of player or that number 9, even though he can play it for us. But yeah, Martinelli's a big part of our attacking strategy, definitely.
Should be only 21 years. I think he's only 21 years old. We got a lot of years. He signed a 5-year deal. Got a lot of time to get him to strike, especially with guys like Thierry Henry around the club. Guys like Gabriel Jesus have scored a lot of goals. He'll be fine. in 3 or 4 years, he might be the golden boot for the league. So we'll go to the right side. We'll start off with Tech, and we'll speak about Saka.
This guy, you can almost give him like a minimum 7 every game.
Yeah, it starts at 7, whether he gets a 10 or a 9, we'll talk about it, but it can't be below a 7, right?
Exactly, right? Like he is the reason why we have a threat every game, right? He was the constant bane to their defense, man. Like, who was their left back today? His name's slipping my mind, but I think in the first half there was a time where he sort of just dropped on the ground and he was holding himself. Geez, I can't remember his name, but anyways, it was Saka all night, man. The key threat for us was down that right side of the pitch, and it sucks he didn't get a goal, or not even sure if he got an assist today. I don't think he got an assist today, but he was in those key moments for us that created chances to put a ball in the back of the net, and he was very unlucky on a couple of those non-VAR decisions, right? I think he was the one to put it off the post, and I think it was Steven.
Ball, by the way, it went off his hand off the.
Exactly, and like the way he created that space for himself too, like his dribbling in that small area was unreal. But Saka's just, he's our guy, man. I can't say anything negative about him. He continues to be a force at every single minute of the game. And you can see, again, I think we talked about this the past few episodes, Thierry's quote about big players not playing nice. Like, you're seeing that every single game now. Like, he's bodying guys at his size. He's got the strength of, like, I don't know, some of our bigger players, right?
That's right. Liba strength.
Yeah, man. He's doing so well, and again, so young as well. Just waiting for him to sign that contract. So we don't have to worry about anything.
I think they just have to announce it.
When are they going to announce it? That's the better question.
I think they just have to announce it. I think it's done.
Yeah. Rumor has it that everything's signed and that all the press is done as well. So it's literally packaged, and it's just, when do we drop it? That's it.
Should they drop it right after this game, or they drop it before the next hoodie release that I have to find?
Exactly. That's probably what they're waiting for. They're probably rocking the next set of hoodies, to be the next. Yeah.
It's probably before the City game would be my.
That'd be nice too, right? 15th next week, Wednesday, I believe. Is that Wednesday? Next Wednesday? Or no, the weekend.
That's too. Wow.
It's the week after. Week after.
Okay.
Edson, Saka.
Wow. Well, Zamora, I think was his name, right?
Maybe, yes.
He made a career highlight reel off of this game today. Okay, literally, just he can go home and sleep well knowing that he kept Saka off the score sheet today. This is probably a career highlight for him. And I was watching, and I was like, this guy's doing, an admirable job, as admirable of a job as you can against Bukayo Saka. And Saka was the driving force for us, especially kind of through the first half when we were threatening and just not putting the ball in the net. Whatever amount we're paying him, is a deal for us. Every single game, his transfer market value goes up. Every single performance. And he's still 21 years old? Still 21, still under 21. I don't know what these Gavi and all these, Fati and all these. I don't know. I don't know what their statistics look like.
Yeah.
But I saw a statistical comparison between Saka and Rashford today, and we all know what everyone thinks of Rashford. And yeah, Rashford 14 goals, but Saka has something like 5 or 6 more goal involvements. You know what I mean? Whether it's goal or assist, I think he's got him by something. So he's got Saka by 4 goals. Saka's got him by 8 assists or something like that. Every other statistical category that you have, dribbles and take-ons and everything else that you would attribute to a star winger, Saka's got him beaten spades, man. Saka's got him beaten spades, and let's be serious. Saka's form maybe dipped for half a second after Euros, and ever since then, it's been this high level of consistency. So yeah, maybe if we're talking what have you done for me in the lately. I mean, if you either comparison, Saka at the very least is at that level or higher. Best consistency. I mean, player of the year so far in Premier League. So I got to give him higher than the red 7. I'll say he crept into the 8 category. Would have been a 10 if there was a goal and assist tacked in there somewhere.
I think ever since the City game where we questioned, there's no Ben White making overlap. So when he's one-on-one with someone like Nathan Ake, he can't do it. And I think ever since then, he has been putting in man of the match performance. He was a man of the match from our podcast last game. And I even though he didn't score, he's someone that you have to be wary of. Where is Saka? So that's going to open up space for other players to get goals, assists, or make runs through the middle, whatever. Because you always have to have him. If you're not single teaming him, you're double teaming it. So guys are going to be open, and even if he's not involved in the goal directly, he's involved in the goal because he's moved players out of position because they have to account for him. So I'm going to give him an 8 as well. Didn't put a foot wrong again. You'll see a different type of team if Saka's not playing. You'll see a different type of defense if Saka's not playing. And as long as he's playing, you're going to see Martin Odegaard being able to pop up in those positions. Martinelli being able to get one-on-one with somebody and things like that. So an 8 for me. We'll start off with Edson this time. We'll talk about our Belgian Trossard, who limped off first half, second half. Was the first half he limped off? First half. So yeah, we'll talk about Trossard now.
It's almost like a substitute's appearance in that it was so little time for him to actually even make an impact. What I will say is he popped his hammy or whatever he did to himself. He did it busting his hump to get back. He was the furthest man back covering on what was an expected goal. You know what I'm saying? And it seems like he did maybe just enough to make the pass, not a perfect pass, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever the case was. So kudos to him. Good on him for basically a game-saving run and doing the hard yards, so hard, in fact, that he broke for a little bit there. So you got to give that a 7 performance, I'd say, just based off of that. Based off of how he hurt himself.
So I'm going to give him a 7 as well. You took the words out of my mouth. Getting hurt, coming back, defending, trying to help your team in a defensive position when you're playing a striker's role or a left wing back role or a left winger role. I mean, what else can you ask for, right? You don't see guys like Modric doesn't do that. Let's if he's playing, he doesn't do that. So I'm giving him a 7 as well. We'll go to Tech before we get to the subs. We'll get Tech's rating on Trossard.
Yeah, just that's too little time to really give him a comprehensive rating. I think what we lacked with Trossard, we got it with Reece Nelson today. And sort of like, that play off the right, cutting balls in, cutting balls out. So very unfortunate that he pulled up with an injury. Hopefully it's not, a long-term thing or him being out of the lineup for too long. But yeah, I think we're going to miss him, over the next few games. And, players like Martinelli will miss him a lot more too. So I think a standard performance from Trossard today. So I'm giving him a 7, and let's just hope he's not on the injury table for too long.
Definitely. So that concludes the starting 11. Let's go to the bench and our manager. Actually, manager 2. We'll leave him for the end. We'll start off with the first sub that we saw, which was Emil Smith-Rowe for Trossard, who got injured. We'll start off with Tech.
So I think the lack of game time for Smith-Rowe was really telling today, to be honest. I don't think he was much of a threat today. I think that they handled him pretty well for the most part. So he did what he had to do. He was, creating some momentum on the left side of the field, not as much as we would see when Martinelli or Trossard is playing on that side, but I think he gave us some good cover for when we needed it. And as he gets more and more minutes, I think we'll start to see more of the typical Smith-Rowe where he is creating chances and being an actual threat. So I'm going to give him a 6 today. I don't think there's a lot to fault him for, but I don't think there's a lot we can highlight based off his performance either.
Yep. Assist for Partey's
mistake.
Assist for Partey's goal. Assist for Partey's goal, right?
Yeah, the assist for Partey's goal is huge. Very nice header. Put it in the right position. My apologies, Emil.
So what? You're still giving him a 6?
Still giving him a 6, though.
Okay. All right. Edson.
I think that a lot might be made of the fact that he was subbed. People will be like, "Oh, he wasn't having a good performance." I'm pretty sure he was probably on a minutes limit. That's what it seems like.
100% he was.
I think that was 100% a minutes limit. And if anything, I would have taken off, a Vieira or somebody before him, based on how he was performing. So I give that a 7. And true indeed on the assist. He's a stat hog. He makes stats, and this is why. Some people might have considered, even me, myself, I'm like, well, Smith-Rowe's coming back. Do we even need to go buy somebody? This is why we have this depth now. You know what I mean? Trossard goes down, and I think that, Smith-Rowe's not going to get the opportunity to get a run in the team. And I thought his performance did get better as it went on, and he started to show more comfort and playing up to the speed of the team, and hunger, and just looking like he's naturally been in the squad. Like he's starting to look, get back into the groove. And so his performance improved as the game went on. I give him a 7.
I'm giving him a 7 as well. Just coming in from injury for that long. Only playing, I think, one or two games under 21. And that assist to Partey, it wasn't a shot. Believe it or not, it's not a shot on net, and it's not I have to head it just to head it. He was actually looking for someone to be at that back post. So that's a 7 performance for me as well. Just for not playing that long and still having the awareness and of knowing where players should be and where the space is, and to play it in there. So that's a 7 for me. The second sub that we saw come in was Ben White. We'll start with Edson. Big goal, man. Big goal.
Just, everything, there was nothing wrong with Tomi's performance. There was everything right with Ben White's performance. White out, but it's not even more about that. We possessed the ball so much. He kept things ticking. He made the right runs. He got in the right positions, and and he potted a goal for us, man. Potted a goal. What was it? Created a goal? Yes, thank you.
He scored.
Right. After the Reece Nelson. That's right. Yes. Right. So, man, it's like in my head, I'm going back. Like, yes, Reece Nelson. So off of the Reece Nelson assist, what a huge play. Could it be any bigger? Just big balls, Ben White. You know what I mean? Benjamin White. That's a 9.
Benny Blanco with the 9. Tech.
Yeah, no, impact sub today. I think now that I'm thinking of it, he was he was a key part of why we won the game today, right? Him coming in and opening that space on the right side of the field, making those good runs, scoring the goal. There's just something different when Ben White's in the squad. I don't know if it's grit or just defensively. I feel like we're a bit more solid when he's in the squad. Even though I always thought Tommy was the stronger defender.
Today, frantic, yeah.
Well,
today it's the partnership. It's the partnership with Saka as well. I think they work perfect together. And I know you want to either give rest to Ben White because he's been playing so much, or you want to keep Tomiyasu engaged and involved, and you don't want to hear the same type of things that are coming out of the Tierney camp, coming from Tomiyasu. Now that we have a team that can actually win the EPL, so I know you want to keep guys hungry. Maybe it's a kind of a thing to Ben White as well. Like, hey, listen, if you're not on the ball, there's like another guy behind you that I can start, and here I'm going to start him in front of you. So, like you said, impact sub. I mean, amazing. I'm sorry. I know you didn't. Did you give your number? I jumped in. Sorry.
No, he's getting a 9. Like that's insane. But yeah.
Wow.
He also costs us 50 million. Let's remember that. So I think he's.
But that's the English tax. That's the English tax, right? So.
But he's proving his worth, right? I think I would do it all over again with Ben White. And again, he's a young guy. Like he's only going to get better. He's going to give Arteta a lot of headaches on that right side of the field, or even at points in the center of the field with his continued superb play, right? Like so, huge performance for me on Ben White. He was again another reason for the big turnaround for us. So a 9 is a solid 9. For him is fair, definitely.
Well, I gave him an 8, just the impact sub, like everything that everyone said. We're gonna have an issue later on picking the man of the match. We have 2 guys that are tied, so we're gonna have to go back and that or men of the match.
You're breaking up there, but yeah, there'll be no issue with man of the match, picking man of the match here.
Okay, all right. So the third guy that came in was Granit Xhaka. I mean, I don't think enough to give him a big rating. Did what Granit Xhaka does. I don't think he had enough time to even impact the game, but we'll still give him a rating. We'll start with Tech.
So I would call it an impact sub, but I feel like it was more of a personality sub, like bringing in some leadership, a guy on the field that's going to keep the energy, tell guys to keep it going, to keep pressing, to keep putting the chances in. He didn't do anything that really, changed the way we play. I think he came in around the 80th minute mark. So
84th, I think.
Yeah, even later than that, right? So, again, I like to see Xhaka starting those games. I think we should be starting our strongest lineup at all times for the Premier League. I think our focus should be on Premier League. So if, there's a time to rest Xhaka, it should be in the Europa League or, one of the other competitions. So, he came in. He did what he had to do to keep the players' spirits up. There was probably a few passes that helped out, some of our chances there, but yeah, so standard Xhaka performance for me. So I think I think a 7 is fair in my mind.
Edson?
Yeah. I'll go with a 7 for Xhaka. We're better with him. We are most definitely better with him. And I mean, if Jorginho was feeling well, I think he would have started this game. Although I'll also say that he had Arteta had mentioned about Vieira being sort of like knocking on the door and really like pushing for a place in the team. So this is kind of like one of those. All right, I can rotate and maybe keep some harmony and maybe get away with it against Bournemouth. And it got to the point where it made sense to make the sub anyways. Vieira's legs are probably going at that point anyhow, and Xhaka could bring something to the game, which he did, which was leadership and calm and just fitting in well and knowing where the positioning was. And I think I said in the chat I was calling for it a little bit earlier, even, just to have that Partey and Xhaka effect in the back, in the base of the midfield there. And Xhaka knowing where to be and how to play off of Partey and how to play off of Zinchenko and just creating the right spaces and sitting in the right places. So 7.
I'm giving him a 7 as well. My standard rating. I give him when I see subs come in that don't get enough time, maybe a 5. But like you said, it's that old head. I'm in the field now. I'm on the field now. Everybody calm down. This is what we're gonna do. Don't worry about it. Go forward. I'm here. Don't worry about it. So I'm giving Xhaka a 7 as well.
And I think that affects the crowd too. I think that affects the crowd too, to be honest with you. Did
you hear the roar when he came on?
Yes. I think that everyone kind of knows, okay, Xhaka's here. You feel a little bit safer. You feel a little bit more secure.
That's right.
Whereas, you might have 1 or 2 people in the crowd being like, what's Vieira doing out there? You know what I mean? Where's Xhaka?
Right.
So people who have their Xhaka jerseys on, where's my guy? When our guy came on, you could feel the difference.
Exactly. So there's 2 people left to rate. We're gonna come on. We're gonna talk about what appears to be a super sub. Reece Nelson came on the field today and was involved in, I think, the last 2 goals he was involved in.
Guys, I think
we'll start with Edson.
Yeah, I think we should start with me, considering that at 10:50 a.m. This is halftime.
Yes.
My exact quote. I'm gonna bring it right up.
Yes.
Read it if it's in reverse. What does it say there? Huh?
Move it over a little bit.
Wants some Reece Nelson.
Yes.
10:50 a.m.
Yes.
And it took a while to happen, but once it happened, how sweet was it? I mean, he gave literally. You could see he was playing at another speed. Everybody's in 4th gear. Reece is in 5th. Okay. And, you can see it was a cerebral performance too, because he was out there making things happen, but also not trying to do too much, playing the Arsenal way, bringing his own effect into the game. And you could see that he was coming on more and more. And as it was happening, Zinchenko recognized and realized, and like I said, was feeding the hot hand. And he made things happen out there. Like I said earlier on, there was a chance where I thought maybe he could have got a shot off, and I was like, is he not? Maybe he could put his stamp on the game even a little bit more. And then the chance falls to him, and on his wrong foot, just perfect, unbelievable, tail end trained technique, Arsenal through and through at the death. He made the difference again. Clinical technique. I mean, just not afraid of the moment. That is a 10 out of 10 in the time that he was given. I don't know if we did a player rating for the time that he did this before, but this is a 10 out of 10. Light our darkest hour. Optimus Prime. Matrix of leadership. Again, like Arsenal through and through. If there's one player on the team that we know bleeds it, it's him. And he did it again. 10 out of 10.
I wasn't very optimistic when he came on. I thought when Arteta was putting him, talking to him before he stepped on the field, don't have any other attacker to put on other than Reece Nelson. He hasn't played. Like, we need to score. And I was pleasantly surprised with what he's done. I've seen Reece Nelson come on the field and play like Samir Nasri. And if you've seen Samir Nasri when he was playing for Arsenal, I used to call him sideways and backwards. That's he only passed sideways or he passed backwards. It was never forward. And that's the player that I would compare him to, because he would always make the safe pass, doesn't want to give it up. He has so much talent, he has so much skill, he has speed, and he never went forward. I didn't see that today. I saw him attacking from the time he got on the field to the time the game was over, and when he scored that goal. He was always a threat to go forward. And that's what I want to see from Reiss Nelson. I know he has a contract, or his contract is over and he wants to resign. He wants to stay at Arsenal. And I think that's a credit to Arteta, where he's built something where players actually are like, well, you know what? If another coach was here and Unai Emery was here and I wasn't playing and this, that, I might want to leave and go somewhere else. But I think that he sees what's happening here and the dominance that this team might have for the next 5, 6, 7 seasons. And he says, I want to be a part of this.
It's his club. It's his club.
It's right. It's his club from Hale End as well. He wants to stay. He's putting in a performance like that where he's proving that I should be able to stay if I play like this. So again, like Edson, 10 out of 10 performance for me. He came on for that little short period of time and murdered the game. 10 out of 10 for me. Tech.
That's easily a 10 for me. 20 minutes, 2 huge goal contributions.
That's right.
Including the game winner. Like, I don't know what else I got to say, right? Like, his performance.
Nothing
Has
really.
he earned a start? Has he earned a start? That's my question. How about that?
Here we go. We talked about this a couple of shows ago. It's like, well, now you have Arteta's going to have problems now a little bit with decisions. Like, what do you do now? With all the talent that this team has and people on loan and people coming back, and I don't know. Does he deserve a start? Trossard's hurt. Does he start? I don't know. Do you start him before Emile Smith-Rowe? I don't know.
And Nketiah's hurt too. So I think that it's either him. It boils down to either him or you put Vieira out wide or you adjust somehow around Vieira or you put Reiss Nelson in. And let's be honest, of the 3 today, who earned it?
Yeah, 100% Reiss Nelson. But again, you cannot get injured on this team, and you cannot have a bad two game run on this team because you might not see the field for the rest of the season. It's a good possibility. So another across the board 10. It's got to be the man of the match. It has to be the man of the match. We'll end off with our manager. What can you say? What can you say? You're down 2-0 at half. You make the right substitutions. You win 3-2. I mean, it's a 10 from me.
Both your subs score.
A 10 from me.
And one of your other subs has an assist. I mean, if I higher than a 10, I would.
I mean, bringing on Reiss Nelson, whether it was his only option to bring him on as an attacker, or he could have easily kept Emile Smith-Rowe on. But like we said, it might be a minutes thing. But I mean, you made all the right moves today. All the right moves. Bringing off Tomiyasu, who didn't do anything wrong, but putting on a Ben White.
That's the whole point. They weren't even obvious subs.
Right. So for me, it's a 10. I don't know what you guys want to give.
10.
I haven't listened to his post game yet, so
yeah, me neither. But
want to get some more details around decisions to start the game. So to start the game, I'll give him like a 7, but then that quickly elevated to a 10, like you guys are saying, by the end of the game, just with his decision making on the subs and changing the tactics and
I mean, we've all been screaming for rotation. So how can we actually even fault? And like, who's the closest to getting into the team? Probably Tomiyasu. So we can't fault him for that, and we can't fault him because Tomiyasu's performance wasn't bad. You know what I'm saying? So
that's right.
So where is the fault? Same thing. Oh, Granit Xhaka eventually is going to break. He sits Granit Xhaka. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, maybe we don't get the performance that we need to out of Vieira, but in the end, we make it happen. You know what I mean? And he makes a positional change in Ben White that nobody necessarily thinks is going to do anything. He goes up there and scores a goal, and things start to open up around him. Like, I mean, you can't fault him at any point, is what I'm saying.
I get it. I don't know if it's lack of experience or arrogance, trying something new with a Bournemouth team. Like, yeah, we got to rotate guys. Is it the time to rotate guys in the Premier League, which we know is our focus?
Well, you should be beating Bournemouth.
You should be 100%.
Game should be over after the first half, but just like everything, right?
I compare our run to the Leicester team that won it. Like, I want us to be with our strongest side every single game. And I don't want us to change it for whatever reason. Like, we know,
but you have to realize too that Leicester wasn't in any competitions other than the Premier League, so they can rest, they can play. They play Saturday, they play the next Saturday, they play the next Saturday. They have 7 days to. We're in Europa League too, right? We want to win that as well. So we talked about the schedule last show. We talked about the schedule. This month is deadly. So
it is.
Guys have to find, and if you're playing a Bournemouth team that's relegation fodder, you have to beat these guys by 45 minutes, so you can get key players rest. So.
And the thing is, you gotta when players, you gotta reward guys who are practicing hard. You gotta do all that as well. It all creates good feels in the team. Now everybody played in a win. Forget what the score was when you went out. You know what I mean? Now everybody's played in a win. Everybody was a part of a victory. Everyone did something to contribute. And I think that is going to pay dividends 2-3-fold on the other end of this, here down the stretch.
It all worked out in the end. Again, I'm just saying, if I were a coach, I'm starting the strongest 11 every single game in the Premier League, and I'm going to rotate a bit when it comes to the other competitions. But yeah, I think his performance, his rating today, huge credit to Arteta for making the changes when he did. Brought in the right guys. They contributed. It's a season-saving performance from the manager with his decisions. So solid,
definitely
solid. Hopefully we see, hopefully the next few games or the rest of the games don't throw us in those loops again, because I don't know if I can take games like that anymore. But oh man, I don't know. I love this team. I love what Arteta's done to this team. He's the right man for the job, and we're seeing his value. Man. It's amazing.
100%. So there's only two members of the squad that got full 10s this week, and one of them's our manager, Arteta, and the man of the match. 20-minute cameo is Reece Nelson with a 10 across the board for the full 30 point. I think Nick probably would have given him a 10 as well, but he's going to be our man of the match. The lowest rating that we gave was for Vieira, which wasn't really that bad either. He got a 17, but
with the 4 VARs. The lowest rating.
I'm not. The refs are just incompetent, so I'm giving them a 2 every week. But like we said, there's 4 instances there. We have to give us one of them. One out of the 4. I'm not even asking for all 4, just one. It goes to VAR and nothing. It's ridiculous.
I feel like I could have made an argument for literally all 4 of them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
of course. A handball is a handball. I don't care if it's not intentional. I don't care if it's in the box. It's a handball. It's a penalty shot. Yeah. And to wave it away and not, I'm done with the NBA refs and the EPL refs. Absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
There's hope for VAR though. By the way,
was there a rough Knicks loss that I missed recently? Is that what happened?
No. The Knicks won last night by 2, but it was the referees are just
chicanery.
It's incredible. I'll send a clip of something in the group, and you tell me whether it's a foul or not. But whatever.
Sorry, don't mind orange and blue soap.
Orange and blue skies. Blue and orange everything. Blue and orange everything. What's up, Tech?
30-second take on VAR. So apparently at the Club World Cup, they're trialing or piloting referees communicating more details about their decisions on VAR. So hopefully
with who, the fans?
Yeah, hopefully that gets extended into, the Premier League at some point. We'll get more communication or transparency about why decisions are a certain way. So
they won't do it.
So they're gonna just let you get on the mic and be like, "Let me tell you why you should be mad." You know what I mean?
They're not going to do it. The FA, the referees of the English FA, they're not going to do that. They're not going to.
Anyway,
I dare.
It's happening World Cup. Hopefully, for our sake, for Arsenal's sake,
Won't
something
happen.
does change the Premier League about that. But let's wait and see.
Anyway. I'll tell you right now, the Premier League will be the only league that doesn't implement that. I promise you that. I promise you. Every other league will have it except the Premier League. They'll do it in Europa League. They'll do it in Champions League. They'll do it in Italy, Germany, everywhere else. And England would say, nope, can't do it. We're not doing it. And then everybody will be like, okay, no problem. Because they're the richest league and the most popular league. But don't get me started on VAR. We can be here for another two hours. The referees are terrible in this league. But anyways, to end off the show, end off the podcast, the greatest in my lifetime, the greatest English commentator for football, Peter Drury, after I think it was Martinelli scored the 4th goal against Everton, said there's a gorgeous arrogance about this Arsenal team. And I thought, I get goosebumps when I hear that, a gorgeous arrogance. And I'm going to be an arrogant son of a bitch today. I can tell you that.
Damn
for
right.
sure. So guys, we have who's next? Actually, we have a midweek game. Is it Europa League starting this week? I think we have Sporting this week on Thursday. I think it's away as well, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll be doing a reaction show for that, and then our I think we play again on Sunday. So we'll have another reaction show for that. So guys, gorgeous Saturday. Another beautiful start to the weekend. I mean. I want to watch all the highlights again and feel the same emotion. I like I said, I did laps around this place. It's not very big, but I was running around like a crazy man when Reece Nelson scored. But guys, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you for the reaction for the Sporting game midweek.